The United Nations Environment Programme, that is UNEP, regulated or has initiated 5th June today for the celebration of World Environment Day. What does this celebration entails? What goes into it? And what does our world entails to protect it and the environment, among other things? Here's the Changemaker's voice. Let's take our quotes for the week. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Changemaker's Voice on and your online TV with me and your Denchi, where we speak with young people, anybody at all doing something inspiring with his voice within his community. I'm very sure you enjoyed and got inspired by the quotes you just watched. Before we zoom into the interview with our guest, let's find out who our guest is and what he does alongside whatever main thing he's embarking on.
Ahmed Mumuni Ahmadu is a young man who hails from the Upper East region of Ghana, Bolgatanga to be precise. He had his secondary school education at the Navrongo Senior High School and took up the leadership mantle as a senior prefect in his final year. Ahmed is a level 400 student in UCC who is currently reading environmental science. He has a 2-year experience as a primary school teacher. Ahmed was a delegate at the Ghana International Model United Nations event in 2018. He is currently the Casford Hall president in UCC and also doubles as a member of both the UCC SRC parliamentary and executive councils. Ahmed is a staunch disciple of law and politics and also has an unwavering admiration for nature.
Yeah, once again, welcome to the Changemaker's Voice on Andiopon Online TV with me and Andiopon Denchi. And I'm sure you know who our guest is, what he does, aside everything. Today, 5th of June, is World Environment Day celebration, and we are having an interactive conversation with Med from University of Cape Coast to find out how best we can protect our environment, how we can jump on the celebration, and what we need to do to improve our world. Med, you're welcome to the Changemaker's Voice. 1, 2, 3. Empower your world. You're welcome. So, Med, before we delve into the crux of the topic, could you tell us who Med is and what you do, the school you went to, probably your secondary school days, and as you are here in UCC?
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And then thank you to your cherished viewers. My name is Ahmed Mumuni Ahmadu, but I'm popularly known as Med. A level 400 student reading BSc Environmental Science. I had my secondary school education at Navrongo Senior High in Avasco from the year 2015 to 2018.
Okay.
Yes. During my school days in Navrongo Senior High, I was the senior prefect for my year group, not the 2017-2018 year group. I had admission to read BSc Environmental Science in the #1 university in West Africa and the #1 in Ghana, which is University of Cape Coast. And I'm currently in my 4th year in the University of Cape Coast.
I see. So, Med, how was life like when growing up? You made mention of holding a position in secondary school. Have you always been a passionate student leader?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Leadership has always been my passion. I have the passion to serve people, and that is where I drive myself importance and happiness most often from. Especially when I see that the people are really in need, and then what they demand for has to do with leadership at that moment.
Sure.
Being able to satisfy them when given the mandate.
Casford, are you running for any position?
I have the intention of contesting the position of the presidency for the University Students Association of Ghana, USAG, hopefully this year.
Sure. So, guys, Med will be vying for the position of
University Students Presidency
in the University Students Association. So,
Ghana,
wherever you find yourself, if you are eligible to vote, do well and vote for him, as well as he adds his voice to maintaining and improving the student body in a country. I must say you really have the core of people to your heart. If that explains or defines what you also explain out there. So if that being the case, and so I know you are the corp president for Casford.
Yes.
Am I right? Exactly. Why didn't I want to ask then why didn't you go for the SRC position to get the larger people? I know you're impacting in the lives of your whole members, but why looking on it on a larger scale? Why didn't you opt for, or why didn't you opt for the SRC president?
Okay, so thank you. Um, just like you said, I believe that change is most often gradual, and then we can effect change in our own small world or wherever we find ourselves. Kesley Hayford Hall, if you know, is one of the traditional halls in UCC. It's a bit challenging there, and therefore it requires um, someone with good leadership skills to be able to run the affairs of such a hall. Um, with respect to your question, I would say that actually stepping my foot on the campus of University of Cape Coast, I had dreams of becoming the SRC president one day, of which I still believe it is possible.
Could you define that to us since you being in your final year?
Okay. I'm in my final year. I could possibly come back to UCC one day
Sure.
to take another
Another
course.
course.
Yes, and who knows?
No,
But then,
no, objecting to that. Yeah, you can pertaining to how passionate you are about your career and the course you want to pursue. But going through 4 years and come back to go 4 years.
personally, um, I have passion for law. I have interest in reading law,
Okay.
which, and I'm an environmental science student. I might go into environmental law.
Okay, so guys, he said he might go into environmental law, and as he's looking forward to still becoming the SRC president, with which is a passion he holds dearly to his heart. If he gets to come back to school and then he goes to vie for that position, let's hope he gets
Um,
that position.
Yes, just like I said, not necessarily SRC president. We have a whole lot of position at heart. But sometimes, personally, before I go in for any position, um, be it by virtue of appointment, election, I sometimes make analysis with respect to the duties and responsibilities there. Then I assess myself, consider a whole lot of factors before going in. Because I believe that when you take up a mantle, you should be able to impact positively in the lives of your people, but just not to occupy the position. So it is
Exactly.
not just to occupy the
Occupy a
position,
position.
but to be able to deliver when given the mandate.
Exactly. And with that, I totally agree. And I really buttress the point you made that you can make, when I asked about you not looking on a larger scale by becoming the president of the SLC, you made mention that you can impact lives, or you have to impact lives even within your little small way. So even you being the hall president for Casford Hall, is that the name of the hall?
Yes, Kesley Hayford Hall.
Kesley Hisford, or you're still impacting life. And with us here on the Change Makers Voice, that's all we require. In your own little way, your voice is being uplifted to improve our world.
Oxford is not just a hall, but it is a university within a university, and that is how we pride ourselves, and it is well known.
Well known. Sure, I see. So you are currently pursuing environmental science.
Yes, please.
A layman out there has no idea on the course. So would you let us know about what the course entails a bit?
All right, thank you very much. Environmental science, just like the name suggests, environment, science. Okay, so environmental science is an interdisciplinary field
Okay.
which involves the combination of physical, biological, and chemical sciences, okay, to study the environment and then find prudent solutions to environmental challenges such as climate change, pollution,
The
loss
preservation of the
of
ozone layer.
biodiversity, sustainability with regard to food, energy, etc. So basically, that is what environmental science means.
Okay, so you study and come up with ideas or solutions whereby you can give remedy or solutions to such problems that the environment
Yes, yes,
is
yes.
facing. So
The
in that,
environment is currently facing a whole lot of
I
threats.
tell you, sure. So that's where you sit, or what you do
Yes,
as a student, or even
an environmental
pursuing.
scientist or an environmental science student. That is
Yeah,
what you are being trained and taught.
yeah. So then that also pushed me to ask the question: what gave you the zeal to pursue that course? I know you are very passionate about leadership,
Yes.
but yes, so you find yourself here. Why that and not any other course?
All right. Thank you very much. I am very passionate about leadership. But leadership just constitutes a certain aspect of our society. Okay. But then, um, aside the passion I have for the environment, basically wherever I find myself, um, for instance, at home, I make sure I love nature. I
Okay,
love nature.
I see.
Yes. So aside my passion for nature, you would bear with me that there's a serious increase in human population, urbanization, industrialization, and a whole lot of factors that are posing serious threats to the environment across all areas. And these are factors that we can't do without. Industrialization, urbanization, modernization, etc. come in because there's a need for us to develop. We are advancing. And therefore, these are the factors that also what pushing or improve development in our world. For instance, we can't halt industrialization because of emission of pollutants and all that. There's also a need for us to meet certain needs and demands by virtue of moving towards what industrialization. But regardless, we would have to study deeper to be able to produce or get into our industrialization and still protect our environment.
Okay,
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
Yes. So it's a two-sided road, which the environmentalists would have to come in. Sustainability is a key factor here because we are trying to meet the demands of the present generation while we do not also compromise the benefit or the demand the next generation are likely to come in
Yeah.
for. So therefore, while we are developing, while we are improving upon ourselves by virtue of modernization, industrialization, etc., there's also a need for us to put in sustainable and practical managerial practices that wouldn't what, pose our environment to serious threats because in the end we shoot ourselves in the foot and the only place we have to survive is mother earth. So therefore,
Exactly. We have
while
no
yes
other
we have no
place.
other place to go to, so therefore that is the reason or that is the motive aside the passion I have for nature. I've realized that we cannot do without industrialization, we can't do without modernization and a whole lot of these factors. So therefore, while we go into it, there's also a need for us to find remedies and solutions to the dangers these same factors will pose on the environment.
Sure. So today being 5th June, being the celebration of the World Environment Day, um, briefly, I would read a bit research I did on the topic before you give me your take or your opinion on the event. So, World Environment Day is described as a global platform for inspiring positive change by the United Nations Environment Program, that's UNEP, the organization that created it. The idea is to engage government, businesses, civil society, schools, celebrities, cities, and communities in raising awareness on celebrating environmental action. The 2022 World Environment Day, hosted by Sweden, campaigns for collective, transformative action and a global scale to celebrate, protect, and restore our planet. And moving further, it states that encouraging everyone everywhere to live sustainably and take action on the climate crisis. This year marks the 52nd or 52 years since the first Global Environment Summit, the 1952 United Nations Conference on the Human Environment in Stockholm. led to the founding of the United Nations Environment Program. So, three reasons why we must celebrate this cause is that the idea of the World Environment Day was conceived in the UN General Assembly Conference in 1972 on the human environment. Wary of the drastically declining condition of the environment worldwide, the conference also set up the UNEP, the United Nations Environment Program. The sole function of the UNEP was to spread awareness across the globe about how we were harming the environment around us, the importance of preserving Mother Earth, and the steps we could take to do this. So this is a brief information about what the World Day entails and all that. So, as we are discussing and celebrating our world and our environment, finding out how best we can build our environment and things that are harming or impeding us to improve the environment. We also bring Med here to share his thoughts on it, and one thing from where he sits as an environment science student to share his take on what the celebration or the event really means to us as not only Africans but as a world together. So, what was your take and your opinion on the event?
It's a very nice program initiated by the United Nations Environment Program. I think along the line, 52 years now.
Yeah.
And it's a very nice program in the sense that it is more or less a strategic plan on how to protect our environment. This year's World Environment Program would be focusing on land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Okay.
Okay.
So most often when we talk about environmental pollution, when we talk about threats that the environments are always being exposed to, little research is being made into some areas. For instance, drought resilience. A lot of people or the layman wouldn't see this as a threat to the environment, but it seriously has some impact on the environment. Now, according to research, drought has increased by 29% from 2002, which means that it is affecting or it has affected almost half of the population on Earth, looking
Wow.
at the implications we have. So these are very serious areas that we most often do not pay attention to. So the United Nations Environmental Program or Environment Program draws our attention to some of these significant threats that we are being exposed to and then how to remedy them. So, per the celebration, it brings our attention to some of these areas, and then I think the necessary managerial practices and steps that are supposed to be put in place are done to see.
Okay. So, World Environment Day is described as a global platform for inspiring positive change, as I stated, by the United Nations Program. The organization that created, do you think that the World Environment Day truly serves the purpose and why?
It's serving its purpose, but just like we know, World Environment Day is an event established by the United Nations Environment Program under the supervision of the General Assembly. Every institution has its own challenges. For instance, it is doing well, but then research will tell you that almost every time they come up with most of their research, there are times where they lack funding to even what carry some of these things what out. And most of these programs and policies are most often decentralized to various blocks. It could be continental, it could be at national levels. And it most often also conflict with policies at this respective what blocks. So
Okay.
these are just a few challenges that they do face. But I think generally it's meeting its purpose.
Okay. So, following the World Environment Day is now the largest global environmental event with millions of people in more than 150 countries participating in it. What do you make of it, or what do you make of this achievement that they have done so far?
Okay. So like I stated earlier, when they began this program, just a few countries were part. But looking at the benefits with respect to what the program is doing for the nations that are involved, it has called for the attention and the involvement of other nations to come in. Okay. So it's a nice initiative, and I believe with time we would have all countries joining this to save Mother Earth.
Sure. And okay, before this question, the bushfires of Australia are a key example of why we need to wake up and take ownership of our action, and why awareness about the true condition of our planet is key. The primary vehicle of mobilized political will, the World Environment Day, is structured in a manner that allows one country to take up the responsibility of selecting the theme and hosting the key celebrations each year. It is not recognized as a public holiday. However, institutions such as offices, schools, colleges, and universities of all participating countries have activities throughout the week in June. The government gets involved as well, thus making it a key campaign in spreading awareness and getting support for the reform. So, based on this, why do you think the world environment should be celebrated every year? Every year. I know there is a need for it to celebrate it, but from where you sit as an environment science student, why do you think is there a need for it to be celebrated every year?
Yes, there's a need for the World Environment Day to be celebrated every year, just like you said. It is not declared as a holiday, but it involves university, colleges, government institutions, and a whole lot of stakeholders, but campaigning based on the theme that they have come up with. And for instance, this year's theme, protection, land restoration,
Yeah.
desertification, and then drought resilience. The campaign purposely would be championed towards what some of these areas. So we have the land commission would definitely bring up policies on how we would have to what restore our lands. Environmental protection agent in collaboration with the environmental protection agency, some other agencies like the forestry commission and all that. So it's a collective campaign, okay, in involving institutions, agencies, authorities, and individuals, even students. So therefore, like you said, it's a strategic plan. After this year, they would assess and evaluate the campaign they have done with respect to the team and the areas they targeted this year over a time. And if they have really achieved the purpose or the reason to which they initiated that, then they move on to the next item in their strategic plan. Okay. So therefore, it is a continuous action because environmental pollution, environmental degradation is a continuous action as well. So therefore, I think it is something that we need to annually celebrate to remind people.
Quickly on this, as you have chipped in the environmental pollution and that stuff. A few months ago, the president initiated or introduced a new tax on that's the tax emission. What do you make of it in relation to the Environment Day celebration? First of all, do you side with the tax emission that the president imposed? And if yes or no, how do you think it can help to benefit and improve upon our
Okay,
environment?
so I think this is a very basic question. This has to do with environmental protection in relation to policy making. Okay,
Exactly.
sure. So I think things of this nature, policies of this nature, environmental scientists together with environmental studies, yes, environmental scientists are being consulted on policies on how to cut down the emissions. Um, about the taxes, I have my own reservations, but I believe that that is not the only way to solve environmental pollution or emission. But then the government sit there, and then who knows? Maybe for this time being, it is just a policy for the time being. But I don't think we can sustain this, or this can be maintained for a very long time. But we can rather look for other alternatives that would protect the environment. The reason I'm saying this is the disadvantage with this is, does it mean that if I have the ability to pay, I should pay and then continue to pollute or emit more?
Exactly.
Because what we take, let's look at the ozone layer for instance. No amount of money can replace the ozone layer.
Yeah.
So that is the angle at which I'm looking at it from. Okay, sure. So we can move towards renewable energy, of which I have heard some campaigns from
Going
some of our
on.
politicians geared towards electric cars and some other renewable energy forms. So, as an environmental science student, I think that is a good initiative. That is where we should be looking at rather than the other side. But all the same, it is very important that we cut down our emissions as
Sure,
well.
sure. So, bringing the discussion or the celebration on to a close, as an environmental science student, what do you do in your bid, and as an advocate to the environment and all that, what do you do in your bid to also promote the protection of our environment, if in
Thank
a few
you
words?
very much. As an environmental science student, and then in my capacity right now, the Kesley Hayford Hall president, just um, just last week, over the weekend, Saturday, we've held a general cleanup exercise in our hall. And then, even though it's an activity that most often is being done, but this year's own was something extraordinary. We
Okay.
needed to plan, and someone was like, "It's because it is your field. That is why." But okay, it might be true, but I think everything is driven from passion.
Exactly.
Yes, you are doing it with passion, and then you know why you are doing it. So we sensitized them and we educated them to understand that there's a need for us to do it this way, and this is the right way, and how it should be done. Even prior to that, tertiary education workers, TEU,
Yeah.
went on strike for a couple of days. The sanitation issues in their respective halls were not that good. I took up the mantle. I called my colleagues and I told them that there's a need for us to do something. So we engaged ourselves in cleaning. And in a few days' time, they returned or they resumed from their break.
Sure.
So in our own small world, this is what we are doing. And even at the departmental level, we are planning on hosting seminars and programs to
To sensitize
sensitize
and then
and to
educate
educate
young
people. Yes,
people or the
yes.
students.
And then with the aid of one of my lecturers, it is something we are working on, but I think I can say it here.
Okay.
Dr. Christiana Hood, my lecturer at the Department of Environmental Science, we are actually engaging with selected schools around junior high and senior high schools on climate change, and then some aspects of environmental science to teach and educate them on that. We are also putting together policies and then some key things that we think the university as a whole should take it up. So when we are done, we'll present it to the vice chancellor through the respective protocols to see what the school too can do.
Sure, sure. So, Med, as you're about to embark on this project with your departmental head, would encourage you here on the Changemakers Voice that all the best, keep on, because this is what the focus of the show stand. And if there's any way in helping in trying to advertise also for us to add our voice to your voice, we'll do our best to know that. And my final question, or last but one question, is as you have told me your bit in what you do in protection to the environment, to a layman's understanding or to the layman out there watching us, what is the layman supposed to do also to maybe 3 steps to do in protection to the environment or
Okay.
to as we're celebrating today the world to the environment day, what is he or she supposed to do from where he or she sits as a layperson?
Okay. So I think what we all have to know is that the environment belongs to everybody. Wherever you find yourself, whatever surrounds you, whatever resources you get within the environment is what nature has provided for you. And therefore, it is therefore our collective and individual responsibility to protect it. In the sense that sometimes you might not even be the cause of that particular problem. Maybe a pollution somewhere, the pollution source is from somewhere, but the pollutants end up in where you stay or in your environment. It doesn't still exempt you from the consequences or the implications, especially health implications. It doesn't still exempt you from that. So therefore, it is I think it is a charge each and every one of us.
Really make
Everyone should take it upon themselves that it is my responsibility to protect the environment. You get it? Sure. And then also understand the implications we are likely to face. Then we also have to put it at the back of your mind that once the environment is in a good shape, there are a whole lot of benefits we would what? Would derive from
Yeah.
that.
As guest here made us enlighten and treated us on how to protect our environment. This is what we have for you on the conversation. You can also join us with your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's move to the voice segment to listen and get ourselves inspired. We'll come back with more.
Why? We all ask why we should work this hard. Why take that many classes? Why go to school that many years? You know, why take the notes? Why read the books? Why work that hard? Why put yourself through the push-ups and the disciplines? Why? Good question, why? Best answer to why, I think, is the second question. Why not? Why not see how many books you can read, how many classes you can take, how many skills you can develop? Why not see how valuable you can become to the marketplace and to your friends and to your family? Why not see what you can make of yourself? Why not see how far you can go, how much you can see, how much you can earn, how much you can share? Why not? That's the heritage all of us have, to see what we can make out of our lives now that we've been given this extraordinary opportunity.
Yeah, welcome back to the Campus Show. And I believe you got inspired by the inspiration message you just listened to. Keep motivating yourself and using your voice to change the world. It's time for the Change Makers Fun segment. We'll back with more to find out how smart Med is as he has enlightened us on how to protect our environment. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, welcome back to the Change Makers. This is on your Online TV, where we sit down with anybody, young, old, poor, rich, and doing something inspiring. This is the Campus Fun segment, and we are finding out how smart Med is, and to be able to also keep this show interactive. So, Med, I'll ask you a couple of. I have quotes here. The rule of the game is that we have quotes, motivational quote or whatever quote it is. I'll take them out and then you tell me who the author is. I know you are smart. You say, oh, so guys, let's
Okay.
put into the test. But I know Med will not fail us. So the first one is that you tell me who the author of this quote is. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Who said this quote? So you have 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Grant.
Grant. It's nowhere near. So it's James Quadri Agri. The second one is we prefer self-government with danger to servitude in tranquility. Who said this? We prefer self-government with danger to servitude in tranquility.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Charlie. Then the third one is education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Who said this? Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
Martin Luther King.
No. Last chance. One, two.
Clue. No clue. A clue.
He's an African. And he was once a president.
He's an African. He was once a president.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the answer is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. So he said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. The fourth one is, we may have different religion, different languages, different colored skin, but we all belong to one human race. Who said this? There's no clue, so please don't ask me.
There's no clue on this.
I'm not giving you clue, so don't
Okay.
ask. So 1, 2, 3. We may have different religion, different languages, different colored skin, but we all belong to one human race.
One human race. Lucky Dube.
Kofi Annan. The last one. You cannot be lukewarm. Let me give you a clue. This is a person in a religion sector.
Okay.
In Ghana. You cannot be lukewarm about a venture and expect to be successful. Begin to mention all the pastors' name.
Cannot
So
be lukewarm.
you cannot be lukewarm. You cannot be lukewarm about a venture and expect to be successful. On 5, 4, 3, 2, and
Bishop Duncan Williams.
is Pastor Mensah Otabil. And I think this is where we draw curtains on the fun segment. And I guess here tried to be, not even tried, proved to be smart as it is, as he has also given us some nuggets. We'll be back with more. Don't go anywhere.
This were not too popular.
Yeah. Oh, but you tried on the second. Kwame Nkrumah, the second one. Yeah, welcome back once again to the Changemakers Voice on and your online TV with me and your Denchi. We had an interactive conversation with Med, an environmental science student from the University of Cape Coast, discussing today, 5th of June, being the World Environment Day. And he has taught us a lot. And in your bid from where you are as a layman or even as someone in that field, you can do a lot. So we'll let him give us his final take and then we'll take our question for the week.
My final words are that the environment is a charge of every individual to keep. Therefore, in our small world and wherever we find ourselves, let's try our best possible to make sure we protect and then save the environment. Thank you. But before I go, I would once again want to remind students across the nation, University Students Association of Ghana, that MED, as you know, me, a good advocate for students, will be running for the office of the president of the University Students Association of Ghana, and I'll be counting on you to vote for me. Thank you.
So, guys, as you have heard our guest here, do well to do your bit in the protection of the environment. And, guys, do well to vote for him as well, for him to become the president, as he has not only proven to be one who is very cautious and mindful about people, but of our world as in general as well. So, this is where time will allow us to have discussions on the change maker's voice with me and the Denchi. The question for the week is, what are you to do to improve our world in respect to World Environment Day? It could be anything, whatever idea, suggestion it is, or comment below so that we can learn from each other on ways and how we can best improve upon our community as we celebrate World Environment Day today, the 5th of June, and any other day some years to come. And as we close and we draw curtains down on the discussion, be mindful of what you do and how you do it. You may not be living in a particular place for a long time, but wherever you find yourself, typically speaking, to respect to sanitation, a lot of us just drop or dump things anywhere, which is not with a good respect in building our environment in the world. And as we celebrate World Environment today, I urge you all that be mindful of how you dispose. If you go out in town and you drink water or whatever it is, you can put the rubbish in your bag. If you don't find any dustbin, come home and dump it in the bin. But if you do find a rubbish, we dump it in it and we can be able to keep our environment clean. This is the Change Maker's Voice, where we give voice and uplift ourselves and our voice to empower our world. My name is Andy Opondichi. Catch you soon on the next episode. Bye-bye.